This biomimicry design challenge asks students to create a bio-inspired design to solve a problem that impacts the global sustainability issue of climate change. Once you've provided your students with a general introduction to biomimicry with the lessons in Motivate, the next step is for students to begin the design process in Investigate. Here they will clearly identify a problem that they want to address. This is such an essential step to the success of the design that an entire section of the instructional storyline is devoted to it. In this video, we'll go over what you can do to get ready for students to identify the problem in the Investigate lessons. What needs to be considered when students identify this problem? It needs to be connected to climate change. It needs to be narrow enough for students to create a solution. Ideally, the problem should be something that students see and care about in their community or region. And finally, instructionally speaking, you will want it to be aligned to your class education standards. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals have been brought into the storyline as a recommended framework to help define the problem and connect it to the standards. These global goals are not a required part of this challenge. They're integrated into the storyline to help students and you narrow down the overwhelming number of problems that are occurring because of climate change, and to identify the relevant local problem that students can wrap their heads around. The 5 lessons in the Investigate section of the storyline move students toward answering the anchor question of the project. As you read through the series of driving questions and learning goals, you'll be able to visualize the flow of activities and student thinking. Page 19 describes several things you will want to do before getting students started. First, it's helpful to download lesson resources and student handouts before beginning. Lists of these can be found on each of the lesson pages in the Storyline PDF and downloaded from the resource index on the Storyline page of the website. You'll also want to review the design brief and challenge rubric. You and the students will work with these 2 documents at the beginning of Investigate and again at the end of the challenge. They will become references throughout the design process to make sure projects are on track. Before you introduce the challenge to students, we recommend you're doing some preliminary decision-making around how you want to use the Sustainable Development Goals to connect the climate change challenge to your education standards. Consider what standards you want students to apply in the design challenge. These would be in addition to the ones inherent to the project and listed in the NGSS alignments shown on page 9. Then determine which goals address these standards. To help you make these connections, we've created 2 resources. Both of these documents can be accessed from the Storyline page on the challenge website. One aligns the NGSS disciplinary core ideas to specific sustainable development goals. The other resource suggests videos, websites, and articles that describe how these goals are connected to climate change. Once you've chosen the standards and goals that make sense for you and your students, you're ready to begin Lesson 8 by presenting this question: how could our biomimicry design help solve a problem related to climate change and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals?